Phonehuddle.com! Woo!
So, I mean, I used to see you on YouTube all the time. Like, you would sort of show up on YouTube with the Keiser report on Russia, RT and such. But you've been not showing up for me lately. I know there's been a lot of political drama around Russia and censorship and so on, especially with YouTube, Google, all of them. Have you guys been censored? Like, what's going on your side of things?
I started to keep track of what the policies and the algorithms on these distribution platforms are at any given moment. I know in the last 2 to 3 years, our show dubbed into Spanish is now the #1 show on RT Español and gets more views than English. And because the market in Mexico, Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay is exploding for Bitcoin because those economies are under tremendous financial stress. And you see in Argentina, the adoption rate of Bitcoin is just moving straight up. So we were just in South America visiting those cities and doing our Keiser report in those cities and talking to people in those cities. So that's where the hotbed of activity is, really.
And it's what you would hope would happen, Like, it's kind of part of the big vision from the West is, hey, this is useful in places where the money is even worse, right? And there's been a lot of skepticism and sort of concerns that it's not really working recently. Like, that's sort of kind of what I've gotten from the market, but it's good to hear that's a really good data point.
Right. Well, the biggest adversary of Bitcoin would be the U.S. dollar. The U.S. dollar is the king of the fiat currency world. It fuels the American global empire. And in South America and Latin America, clearly since the 70s, when Milton Friedman and Henry Kissinger were advising Richard Nixon, and they really went down to South America and Latin America, and they created all kinds of turmoil and havoc with paper money, with fiat money, the U.S. dollar, unrestricted. And this was the beginning of a bleak period for these countries. And so they've been waiting for deliverance from the fiat money nightmare that is the U.S. dollar and all fiat money. So they see Bitcoin as a savior, as they rightly should, because it is.
Yeah, they should. And there's not a lot of education happening that I can see. I mean, I don't really spend a lot of time in Latin America, but I haven't really seen that many efforts. Obviously, a lot of things happen in English and they get translated. Is there any YouTubers and educators that you've found in Spanish that you like?
Well, on the first point, the Bitcoin war is a bit of a guerrilla war, right? So it's unconventional war, it's an asymmetric war, and it's a network of millions of people working together. And we know, going back to the Vietnam War, that can be very effective against an empire. So this is the new Vietnam War. It's the Bitcoin war against the empire of fiat money. And so a lot of the information is passed hand to hand in meetups, small gatherings. And on YouTube, people seek out the information that they need. Necessity is the mother of invention. And so people in these countries really need this. So they are doing whatever they can to get the information. Do I have a favorite Spanish-speaking crypto influencer? No. I know that our show is translated into Spanish, so that's really
great.
helpful.
I didn't know that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's dubbed into Spanish. It's dubbed, not translated, so it's dubbed. So there's a Spanish Max and a Spanish Stacy, and they broadcast that out, and
That's
it goes.
cool.
The show gets 30 million views a week, right? So all over the world, in 100 different countries, and it's been talking about Bitcoin for 10 years. Well, since 2011. So
you may be the biggest Spanish YouTuber then.
I could be. I think so. I mean, when we were down there, with the response is overwhelming. We were just in Mexico City. We had a meetup there, and there were lines around the block. And I did 3 shows.
Wow.
Just pushing this the truth, essentially, that the delivery from the fiat nightmare is here.
Yeah. And I've seen you bring attention to kind of the spiritual side of things more and more over the past few years. Did you know that the according to a Japanese friend of mine, he translated the name Satoshi Nakamoto. The name means awoken by being at the source. You know that one.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? What do you think that's?
Is there a spiritual quality of Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I really think that Bitcoin is an extension of the SETI project. If you recall, in the 90s, they searched for extraterrestrial intelligence.
That's right.
It's a massive parallel computing project, cobbling together computers from around the world to seek intelligent life. It's extraordinarily hopeful. And this idea that we can work together to create a common purpose, to become one with the greater purpose of the universe. And so Bitcoin is a massively parallel computing project that brings together everyone for the similar purpose, that together we can be better than ourselves. The sum of humans' parts is greater than any individual. And Bitcoin makes that all happening with an unconfiscatable gold 2.0 hard money value transfer mechanism that's accessible to anybody.
On this topic, Tyler Jenks, I'm sure you interviewed him, or at least talked to him a couple of times. One of the characteristics he identified in Bitcoin, one of the 10 that he was going to give a speech before he passed away, was singularity. What do you think he meant by that?
Well, the singularity is referenced in pop culture as the merging of humans and technology into the great singularity. So I think that there's a lot of interesting aspects to that question, and I think that we as a species are facing existential threats on a number of different fronts. One would be the threat of robots that are now evolving in real time at millions of generations faster than humans, and they're becoming self-aware and very intelligent, and they're competing for energy. Everything needs energy, even a robot. So robots are going to become a competitive threat. The ecology is under extreme duress. It's breaking down all over the world. So you have ecosystems cracking and breaking, and that's putting enormous pressure on populations that are migrating and moving all over the world. Tens of millions of people are on the move because of their where they grew up is under ecological threat of some type. Then you have the threat from bankers armed with fiat money. They just print any amount of money they need to paper over any financial fraud they commit without any laws that apply to them. And this is another huge threat. So the singularity could be applied to multiple different existential threats that we're heading into right now in the 2020 period. Bitcoin, I don't think it was an accident that was created at a time when people are going to be ready for it. And I think more and more, particularly in Latin America, people now understand that this is their path out of the fix that we've gotten ourselves into.
Yeah, it might be one of the tools to get out of that. Yeah. Coronavirus. China's locked up, it seems like trade is starting, the supply chains are starting to fail. We've been speculating about the global financial crisis for a long time. Is this the trigger?
Well, in 2008, you had global credit freeze, and it created complete insolvency for all major banks around the world, and it was met with a wall of money, $18 trillion worth of fresh fiat money to reliquify the corrupt banks. And that got them through the next 10, 11 years. But now we have another crisis with a global supply chain freeze. So supply chains are breaking. And the response so far from banks has been to, let's print another 10 or 15 or 20 or $25 trillion. That should fix the problem. But a biological pandemic is different than a financial pandemic in that you can't necessarily control it by printing money. So I think this is one of the one or two major sticks of dynamite that have been lit under the edifice that is paper money. That they won't be able to print more money than they won't be able to print sufficient money to contain this pandemic, and then the god of paper money collapses. The god of we can fix everything for the elites by printing money, that collapses. Then people are going to start coming after those money printers because it was the money printing that really created the conditions of the economy in China, which led to the coronavirus. Overcrowding, too much debt, not enough social welfare. They created, the paper money created this problem. And when people understand that, because it's not going to fix the problem this time, they're going to go after those money printers. And those money printers should start to, get nervous.
Wow. There's definitely a lot coming, eh? I think it feels like the storm is brewing in a way that at least for me, that hasn't before, past decade or so. Yeah. You guys have an investment firm, Bitcoin Capital. What are you guys interested in investing in? What kind of things are you looking at?
Right, Bitcoin Capital was a project we did with Simon Dixon at Bank of the Future 5 or 6 years ago, and we invested in a lot of Bitcoin startups. That is now basically part of Heisenberg Capital, which is our VC fund.
Right.
And we have made a couple of investments in the last couple of years. One was Infinite Fleet, which is Samson Mao's new multiplayer game using tokens. It's kind of interesting. We also invested in Casa Hodl, which is the multi-sig distributed secure wallet system that we made an investment in, so we like that. Typically, we look more at the people than at the finances. We play the jockey, not the horse. So there's a lot of people in this space who are dedicated and have great ideas, and we're willing to throw some venture capital their way. And instead of just looking at the spreadsheets and trying to figure out what might be the next winner based purely on financial metrics, we're just looking for people who can go the distance in a startup. Doing a startup is an extremely fatiguing job, if you will. You need a lot of stamina. You have to be young, you have to be healthy, you have to be maniacal. And so that's and 9 out of those situations die, right? So, but occasionally you find somebody who is who makes it through, and they have a huge success. But typically we look for the right person more than necessarily the right combination of funding factors.
Yeah, investing in teams.
Yeah.
You and Stacy are sort of known as one of the power couples of finance, right? And I think it's really, really inspiring. What's the secret? What's the secret to being a power
She has
couple?
all my private keys.
Ah, nice.
That's it. I mean, I'm a kept man. What can I say?
All right. Any other secrets? Any secrets to a good
That's
relationship?
the only secret I have to share with you.
That's all you got. All right, thank you.
Well, thanks so much.
Yeah,
I can't shake your
that's
hand.
Right.
So we can do fist bumps.
That's right.
Otherwise,
Fist bumping,
we might
fist
be
bumps.
dying or something.
I could. Yeah, you never know.
You never know.
You never know.
This could be the last time we ever see each other.
That's right.
I hope not.
I hope not either. Yeah.
All right. Bye.
All right. Bye.